Hey guys, it's been about 3 months, so I figured it's about time for me to reintroduce my Patreon account for people that don't know about it already. It looks like last time I uploaded a video like this, I think I had 11,000 subscribers, and now I'm coming up on 17,000, so that's like 6,000 people that may have never heard the proper explanation of how this works. So just to reintroduce these things, we're gonna start off with the basic stuff of why you should care about my Patreon and how it works exactly, and then we'll move on to the more detailed, complicated part, which is why I have a Patreon and how it matters to me. But we'll get to that part at the end. So first of all, Patreon is how I have that monthly series where the audience gets to choose what I play. So for those that haven't been keeping track, we've had, I believe, 8 so far. My Patreon subscribers have voted for the following shows so far. Crash Bandicoot, Super Meat Boy, Far Cry 4, Undertale, Antichamber, Factorio, FTL, and Oxenfree. So if you're ever curious about why those games randomly showed up or anything like that, and weren't clear on what's going on, those were actually, they were nominated and voted for by my supporters on Patreon. That's patreon.com/SebastianSB, which is the link you should be seeing on the screen right now, and it's also, there's a link to it in the description of every video I upload. So it's always there, waiting for you. And so if you want to be able to influence future things, and I'm saying, and this is timely because it's coming up on the end of the month right now, you go there and you support, and you'll get messages in your emails. For reference, I'm recording this on May 25th, 2016, and so we're coming up on the end of May, and it's a monthly series, so that means that once things flip over to June 1st, everyone who's currently supporting me is going to have an impact on what the game is that we're going to be playing for June. For May, we played Oxenfree. For June, who knows? For details on how that works exactly, I have 2 tiers for votes, basically. People who pledge $15 a month get to nominate the game, and that means that I send a message out to them, and for a couple days they can respond, and they just tell me a game they would like on the ballot. And then, after that's over, we spend 2 days sending a message out to everybody that supports on any level, including everyone who pledges $1 a month, and all of those people get to vote on that poll. We used to let everybody vote, we used to let everybody nominate a game and vote, but once we passed a certain threshold, it was unrealistic to have that many games on a list to vote for. Right now, there's about 60 people on my Patreon, so if you could imagine, like, 60 games to vote for is not a reasonable ballot at some point. And it's a nice little way of rewarding people that support the higher tier while still letting absolutely everyone participate. So if you want to get in on that, you go to patreon.com/SebastianSB. You do need to get in with verified information and everything before June starts. Because once everyone gets charged, those are the people who get to participate in the next vote. And if you're late, you have to wait until the next month. But that's fine, because you didn't get charged money either, so it's all fair. That's how that all works out. And it's a fun little system, because it lets people kind of support me if they choose to, and it can be for really negligible amounts of money, but it actually really helps me. But then you guys get to have an active say in what I play on the channel, in a way that you usually don't get to have an impact on most Let's Play channels, really, because especially the larger ones, like it turns into just 1,000 voices shouting in the comments to play games, and people can't just play whatever game that some people say, because there's always more suggestions every single day. But this system is like, it systemizes a way where people can actually lead to a specific series being made each month that is audience choice, and I think that's cool. And it's the one thing that I plan to keep around as long as I can, because if the Patreon does scale up like crazy, there's certain things like I have those sponsored videos where every people who support in much higher tiers get like an hour-long video every month, but at some point, if there were like 70 of those people, I might have to change how that scales by either changing the price or changing how the feature works and stuff like that. But the poll is something I'd like to keep around forever. I like the idea of everybody who donates $1 always being able to vote, no matter what happens to the other tiers over time. Like, I think that's a cool system, and I like being able to have a way of listening to my audience, but also doing it in a very specific, systemized way that doesn't overshadow how the rest of my channel works, but also is consistently around in the background, and it's ongoing. I think that's all cool. So, please, feel free to check that stuff out if you want to. It really does help me out. And as far as how that works and why it helps me, that's what I'm going to get into now, which is making money on the internet is weird and difficult, as you might imagine. It's actually kind of hard to comprehend sometimes. I'm in the ballpark of getting like 20 to 25,000 views every single day on my channel, which is a mind-boggling and impossible-sounding number in my head, because I'm like, that's like having my entire school watch my video. Like, my high school, just the entirety of it, watch my videos every day 10 times that. Like, I admittedly went to kind of a small high school, but I'm blown away by the sheer size of the audience. But so you'd think that if anyone can get an audience of 20,000 people, you might think that they're making great money, right? But actually, the result is that I make really negligible income in many cases, just enough. Right now I'm paying my rent with YouTube, which is actually mind-blowing, but there's a lot of other costs involved in being a human being. And at some point, yeah, like I'm never so entitled and self-assured to be all like, hey, I'm playing video games all day, I deserve money, give it to me. It's like, it's mine. No, none of that stuff, but there's just the thing of like, it's just on a very basic logistical level, and just an acknowledgement of how reality works, is that running this kind of channel is very time-consuming. It takes a lot of investment to get to do what I do on a daily basis. It is actually a full-time job, believe it or not, where over the course of the week, I easily hit that 40-hour mark of either recording videos, and editing videos, and rendering videos, and uploading videos, and scheduling how I'm going to handle various things, and responding to comments, and all this stuff that goes on. It's actually... It totally is that kind of investment, as crazy as it might seem to say that. And so, on a realistic level, in modern society, to function as a human being, you have to be compensated for your time, or if you're not being compensated enough for your time, you have to change how you're spending your time, is more or less how things work. And so that's where Patreon comes in, because unfortunately, making money on YouTube is pretty garbage and inconsistent. So basically what happens, for those that aren't initiated already, is that you upload a video to YouTube, and then the video itself generates ad revenue. That means that people watch an advertisement before the video, and money goes to YouTube, and we get a cut of that, basically. YouTube takes a pretty big chunk, not the majority, but a chunk of the money, so already you're losing out a bit there, but that's totally fair game, because YouTube has to host this incredibly complicated website with all of its servers and systems that completely makes this whole thing possible, so I'm totally cool with that part. But then you have additional cuts, because you have to deal with the fact that the ad revenue per view is actually shockingly low. A huge portion of the audience actually uses ad block, which means that you never make any money off of any of their views, no matter what. Which is a bummer, but it's just a reality of how the internet works at this point. Just like how every video game that comes out on PC just has to expect that some chunk of people are going to steal it, because that's what things do. There's always the portion that wants everything for free. But the thing is that people who get stuff for free often say that if they like it enough that they would give them money. So here's me calling you out on that shit. If you're one of those people watching my videos for free, if you were to donate $1 a month, then that would more than make up for all of the ads you're not watching. On top of that stuff, there's also the issue if you're someone who does reviews or let's plays or anything that involves any content of any kind, where any music or video shows up from anything else. And honestly, for some people, it's even stuff that's not copyrighted anyway. When you're using content like this, there's always the chance of being content ID'd, and that blocks your all money made for those videos. So you take the time to make your like 30-minute, 40-minute, 90-minute video, and you put it online, and then it gets blocked, and people can still watch it. So at least your series isn't broken or anything like that, but you don't make any money off of it. And that can be rough sometimes if, say, all of the videos you upload that day are blocked, or an entire series is blocked and stuff like that. So it leads to me having to just sort of ration money and be careful about these kinds of things, but it also is why I seek out alternate forms of revenue in the forms of things like Patreon, because it actually makes making money more possible. And one of the great things about Patreon is how consistent it can be, because the views I get on YouTube and how much money I make off of that stuff is very dependent on how well I can ride trends and play the hottest games, or find my little niche of, like, maybe not the biggest game ever, but it's a game that no one else is playing, so the smaller audience that is paying attention to that game is all coming to me in weird cases, like how somehow Wasteland 2 is my most popular video ever, which is really weird to think about, that kind of stuff that happens, because no one was playing Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, so it's all mine. and that kind of nonsense. But it's kind of RNG. It's random. You can't control how audience interest works. You can't control whether you're playing something that's going to be overshadowed by other people on the internet, or like it's all crazy trying to follow trends and stuff. It's like a movie company trying to predict which superhero film is going to be the successful one, which one's not, and stuff, and that kind of nonsense. So, as much as I work hard on it, there's no guarantees ever with YouTube. But with Patreon, it's actually pretty static, or moving upwards, which is great. Patreon, because it's you guys, doesn't suddenly go like, it's $500 this month, it's $150 this month, oh god, where'd they all go? I'd have to do something really shockingly awful to make that kind of thing happen. So far, nothing like that has happened. And it's good to diversify your sources, because YouTube can mess you up when, say, January comes by, and suddenly you make like $0 because no one pays for advertising in January, so it's like having a whole month off of pay. It sounds like I'm exaggerating, but it's actually pretty much true. In January, people on YouTube basically don't make money, which is why you might see some channels go completely silent in January after having made a bunch of videos in December or something, because they're trying to save for the winter, because they basically are fired for a month in some capacity. That's honestly kind of how this all stuff all works. So, if you guys want to help me, and help me be able to run my channel, because it's just a fact of life that if you put a lot of time into something, you need to make some money off of it, or you need to rethink how you're doing your life at some point. Think about it, investing. Think about putting a little bit in. To put a context to this, like, generally, it takes about 1,000 views on YouTube to make me $1, which varies, of course, based on how much ads are selling for that month and how many people are using ad block and all that stuff that goes on. But if someone were to, say, pledge $3 to my Patreon account, that's essentially the equivalent of watching every single video on my entire channel every month. Like, that's the kind of insanity, like the scale of this. Realistically, most people won't ever watch 1,000 videos on my channel, so by pledging $1, they're immediately making me more money than they would ever have done as a fan, which is warped and weird to think about, but that's just how the math works out, which is crazy. And guys, I would love to keep doing this. I have enjoyed doing it. I've been doing YouTube for 4.5 years now, I believe, with varying levels of commitment. And for the last 2 years or so, especially this last year, I've been basically treating it as a full-time job on my personal channel. And that's been great. It's been a fun ride, and it's working so far. And I'd love for it to keep working and keep escalating so that it can actually like self-stabilize and be more of a surefire thing that works out for me, and then we can keep this thing going. Because if it ever did fail, and I'm not saying this as some kind of threat or try to scare people into action or anything, it's just the fact of the situation, at some point I would have to look into alternate options for income, which would ultimately mean, going back into job interviews and getting a different position, which means having a full-time job that isn't YouTube, which means refocusing how much I pay attention to YouTube and downsizing my output to probably being 1 video a day or 2 videos a day, or whatever works in my life, or maybe take a few days off every week and upload on like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, who knows? That's the type of thing that realistically people have to do. Like, if you look at Birdcatcher, the guy I recommended not too long ago, and the person that I often make videos with, he's often doing internships, and he's working as a TA, and he's going through school and all this other stuff, and so because he's busy with all that other stuff, he uploads maybe 1 video a day, because that's just what realistically he can do. Whereas me and Wanderbot, who are going full crazy and trying to make this thing work as a full thing, we're able to do much more videos a day, just because the money we make from the channel is able to make it possible to put the time in to then continually make the videos, which makes the money, and it's a self-perpetuating cycle. And if any part of it breaks down, then the whole thing kind of breaks down and you go into Birdcatcher territory again. But anyway, this is getting a little rambly. This is about as structured as this usually is, which is to say not at all. But thanks for watching like always, guys. Please consider supporting my Patreon, even at a negligible amount. Like, if you can afford... I'm not expecting people to just throw $20 at me every month, even though a few people actually do, and those people are amazing. It's like the most negligible amount of, like, if you have a stable baseline income and you don't mind, say, throwing $3 every month, and that's actually a big deal. And if enough people do that, then suddenly this whole thing stabilizes in a crazy way, and my life can literally change. That's which is crazy to think about. I mean, my life is already changed by you guys, by the fact that this has happened in the first place. But it's still in transition, and maybe we can make this whole thing feel more permanent. Anyway, that's enough talking for now. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and I'll see you next time.